I remember growing up, every Sunday morning when we went to church, my mom would always sit down at the kitchen table and she would write out the check. She wrote the exact same amount every week and never missed. They made it a priority to use what God had given them and to give generously so that other people could be impacted. And I learned that, and I wanted to pass that on to my family. Stewardship to me is everything that I have has been given to us by God. It's not just what I give is God's, but all of it. Now, we've always tithed to the church first, and then we give beyond that. Jesus was right when he said, where your treasure is, that's where your heart will be also. I know that when I give, my heart is going to go to the things that I give towards. I wish that I could give a lot more than we can, so I began to look for creative ways to be able to give more. What I asked my family to do is to consider what they would get me for my birthday or for Father's Day or for Christmas, figure out what that is, then they give me that money and I put it aside so at the end of the year we'd sit down with my boys at the kitchen table and we talk about it and then we give it away. That's my present, and I remember those wonderful times sitting there talking with the boys. I'm always trying to find ways to give more money. A unique thing that I do that's weird to a lot of people is I grow composting worms for the purpose of giving the money away that I make from selling the compost. I began to do that as a hobby. I sent off for a pound of worms and I set up a bin in the garage, and then it dawned on me I could sell this stuff and give the money away. What worms produce is they eat food waste and things like that. What they produce is a material called vermicompost. It's worm poop, and it's the #1 soil amendment in the world. It puts the microbial life back in the soil just like God intended. I'm now up to 35,000 worms in my garage, and I've partnered with 6 mission agencies that are doing kingdom work around the world, changing lives, profoundly changing lives. When someone wants to buy some vermicompost, I show them the 6 agencies I partner with, and they get to look over those and they get to decide where they would like their money to go. People love doing that. They get something they want or they need, but they love knowing that they're going to make the difference in someone's life. Beth and I knew that our boys needed to learn how to give. So one thing we did when they were very young was we bought them a giving bank. And what it was a bank that had a kind of a street scene with a church, a bank, and a store on it. And whenever they got money, they gave the first 10% to the church bank, and they gave the second 10% to the bank, and then the other 80% went into the store so later on they could use it to buy stuff. And so from their earliest memories of getting money, they learned that you give to God first, then you save, and then you live off the rest. What we started to do was to, as Beth would write out our tithe check to the church, she would give it to the boys in worship, and then they would put it in the offering plate. Because we wanted them to see that we were giving. We wanted them to see the amount we were giving, so it made an impression, and they began to catch that.
I'm so thankful that my parents were willing to show me their incredible stewardship from a very early age. I know that I'll do that with my kids as well. I'll instill giving at a young age in the same way that my parents did. I would love to say thank you to my mom and dad. If I hadn't been taught those principles at a young age, I'm not sure that I'd be able to rely on God in the same way.
The only way to learn how to give is to give. And the only place to start is where you are. The benefit far outweighs the cost. Giving is a response to what God has done in your life.